What's up, my fellow scruffy looking nerf herders, and welcome to the Carbonite Chat. Today we're going to be talking about Lando and how he deals with police or different types of authority that are kind of threatening him. This is going through the second chapter of the Mindharp of Sharu. Now, the last chapter he had landed on a planet that he had come to because he was trying to search out and find this supposedly hidden treasure of the Mindharp of Sharu. So he landed on this planet. He went first and gambled and played sabacc and won very largely. And so he goes and stays at a very nice hotel. He wakes up the next morning and he's surrounded by police who immediately begin to just beat him up as he tries to kind of explain, like, what's going on? I'll come in peacefully, but this doesn't matter. And he's getting beat pretty handily, but he begins to realize that the beating he's getting is actually a beating that will never reveal itself. It doesn't actually hinder him from doing other things. It's more just, a beating as far as he can receive it and not have anything, hinder his ability to do things after the fact. He can put on a shirt and walk out. No one will really know how much he's been beaten. And which is kind of actually going along similar with the Solo story that I just went on earlier today. The same thing happened with Solo, but it was a much more brutal thing for Solo. Lando now inside getting kind of questioned, and they're bringing up all of these charges, and Lando starts to realize that a lot of these charges are kind of fake. They don't really mean much of anything. And so he realizes that it's probably something that the person wants. And he starts to kind of view it as a game of sabacc. And so he's kind of seeing it as, here's someone laying down their money. He's got to read them and decide whether he wants to raise or how he wants to play it. And so in that, he starts to try to read and understand the opponent that he's facing. And in it, when's the right time to go about raising or calling or folding. And through this, he starts to figure it out and understands that the person's actually wanting something from him. It kind of jumps to, and he's inside a very nice room with the governor, and it's kind of, a moment of him realizing that he won the first hand. He defeated the guy. He knew what he wanted, and he figured it out, and now he's in a situation where he's no longer being beat up. He's sitting in a nice robe, kind of smoking on a cigar, and just waiting to find out what it is that they want from him. So he begins to try to ask, and as he's asking, the governor begins to explain and kind of talk about the natives and their rituals and how they're kind of a little bit subhuman but still human. And during this conversation, an explosion happens in the room, and this sorcerer appears. And when the sorcerer appears, some of the servants that are natives, as well as the governor himself, all kind of have this fear of the sorcerer. And Lando kind of finds it interesting, and he realizes that really what the sorcerer probably just did was he just threw a smoke bomb in, and that was kind of, hid the fact that he came in through the doorway. And so Lando is a little kind of, interested, but he sees that this character has some power, and they begin to discuss, and the sorcerer gets mad at the governor for wasting so much time and not explaining to him what they want Lando for. So Lando begins to ask, and the sorcerer begins to explain kind of the power of the Mindharp, and explains that this is what he wants him to get, and that they found what may be a key to be able to get in and decide it. Lando's trying to figure out what exactly he wants to do, as the sorcerer explains that the Sharu came in and they're a very, very advanced civilization, and that's why they were able to build all this stuff, and why no one can get inside of the ruins, but something caused them to flee and leave. And so Lando wisely starts to wonder, what is it that's caused them to flee, these powerful, very advanced civilization? What did they run from? And that's probably something that he would want to run from as well. But with more discussion, he realizes he doesn't quite have much choice. That if he doesn't take the offer and get some help, that he's going to end up just, thrown in prison or beaten even further. So he kind of tries to make his situation a little bit better, tries to work out a deal so that he can get, something on the back end, as opposed to just life and freedom as they end up offering him when he asks this. And he ends up getting the offer of a bunch of life gems, and agrees that he'll be willing to, mostly because he is absolutely forced to, look in and figure out a way to be able to find this Mindharp for them, and ultimately give him a little bit of treasure on the back end, even though probably not the treasure he was ultimately wanting, when he first headed to Sharu to be able to find this stuff. But anyways, that's actually chapter 3 and chapter 4. I believe, yes, chapter 3 and chapter 4 of the Mindharp of Sharu, the Lando novel. And I'll continue to go along through those, as well as a solo story. So far, to me, the solo story is more interesting. The Lando's kind of ramping itself up, though. It's setting up a lot of big things, so it could very much pay off in the long run. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions on what you like or don't like. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts, and we'll talk about them as we continue to go on further and further. Thank you, as always, for watching, and never forget, you Nerf herders, I love you.